Hey everybody, what a gorgeous morning. We got the sun out, which we haven't seen all week. We've had snow, rain, a little bit of sun, but not much. So it's a treat this morning. It's a brisk 24 degrees and I'm standing here along the Snake River, and such a beautiful day. I'm getting a nice warm up in on the road, and then I'm gonna head back to the truck and put on a new pair of the DYNAFIT Feline Up Pro. These are a super lightweight technical trail shoe that I got last fall. That the day I received them, it snowed, and it was the last time we saw dirt until, you know, right around this week. So I was not able to use them on trail, and I'm anxious to get out and see what they're all about. I've kind of been wanting to try these all last year, and super lightweight, and just really anxious to get out in them. So purpose of today is I'm headed back to the truck, put the shoes on, and then right across from the truck there's a nice long climb on dirt. I'm anxious to see how dry it is. This will be the first time I've done it this year, and I'm anxious to just kind of see what the conditions are, and it'll be kind of the longest climb I've done this spring. So I just want to kind of see how the legs are feeling, and once we kind of get up on the climb, we'll kind of dive into some coaching tips, some things that you can do to kind of maybe get the biggest bang for your buck during this pandemic, and if you're having to run less, and really how you can take advantage of the time you do have to run. So, all right, so I'm gonna head back on the road right along the Snake River and get some shoes on and head up the climb. You can see the climb in the background. That's where we're headed up that climb. My fingers are cold. It's still cold in the shade. So these shoes are positioned as DYNAFIT's kind of competition for the Salomon S-Lab scent series, these that I love. So I'm anxious to see how they compare. The outsole is a little bit more robust. They're just a little bit heavier, but the fit is amazing so far. And like I said, I think these could be actually a little bit better than the S-Lab scents, just from a durability standpoint. So we're gonna see. So let's go hit the climb. But precious cargo. Okay, so we're headed to the top. Let's go see what it looks like. Just hoping to beat the melt of the mud. We'll see. I don't know, I have a feeling it's gonna be muddy, but we'll see. See you up there. So up here we have a nice mountain lion kill. You could tell it's a mountain lion kill. There's just fur everywhere. This is prime mountain lion country because there's so many deer that come here early season because it melts out really quickly, so they come here and graze. But home of the mountain lion, so you can just see how they just totally rip the animal apart. So my goal is to see one this year, just like every year. Never seen one. I'm gonna though. Well, I made it about 10 minutes of running on dirt before I hit the snow. We're at the top and the snow is still hard enough where I'm just able to walk on top of it without post holing. That'll be different this afternoon as it warms up from the sun. Let me just get to the top here. Pretty nice. Woohoo. All right, so like I said, 10 minutes of running. This trail's has a lot of loose rock, and it's not, this wouldn't be somewhere I would come in the prime trail season, just because it's not very fast. It's just not a very runnable fast course. So again, it's just some place I can come while there's still snow everywhere else, where I can hit dirt because of the kind of the southwest facing exposure to the sun. It just melts out. So hey, it feels great to be on dirt. But so what I'm doing today, 10 minutes up, I'm gonna probably do 3 of these to get in about 30 minutes total. Normally this is a type of threshold type of workout for me. The running is a little bit slower just because of the terrain, so it's not quite threshold, but threshold's what I want to talk about today. And we talked about how, hey, you know, this pandemic has our whole routine messed up, upside down, and you know, running's really not the most important part. Is being healthy and being kind to others and having respect for other people. And if you are able to run and maintain your routine, awesome. You know, that's cool as well. But you know, I think there's probably most of us have to at least reduce what we're doing as far as our running. And training your threshold from a cardiovascular standpoint is one of the most highly trained energy systems we can do and we can train. And if you have my book, Running by Heart Rate, I have most of my athletes do threshold runs by heart rate, because this is a cardiovascular event. So when it's mainly a cardiovascular purpose, that is when I most of the time use heart rate. So we're diving into the cardiovascular, the physiology of the purpose. Whereas if I'm training for specific speeds for various types of distance of races, that's when I switch to speed, when it's more about the specific aspects of the speed, how it relates to the type of distance my athletes are running. So getting back to threshold, okay, what is threshold? Threshold is the point where your body is right in the middle of continuing to burn fat for fuel before it converts totally to carbohydrates and going anaerobic. So this is why this is very trainable, and it's very crucial for most any type of distance that you're training for, and where it's the most, or I guess the most priority I place on any type of energy system, regardless of the type of athlete I have. It's very, very important. So biggest bang for your buck right now. If you're having to reduce your routine, run less, hey, take advantage of this time and really improve your threshold. And this would be anywhere from 5 minutes up to 20 minutes in length at what I would consider a moderately hard to hard effort. Okay, and if you don't have the Cool Impossible book, or go more by perceived exertion. And how you can tell you're at threshold is that it's a point where your breathing leaves kind of just a steady breathing pattern to a little bit more of labored, where you're just maybe, for lack of a better way to describe it, huffing and puffing just a little bit more, but still smooth. Okay, that's how you can tell when you're hitting threshold. Again, you're going from a really rhythmic breathing pattern to a little bit more huffing and puffing. That's threshold. If you do have my book, heart rate zone 6 is your threshold. For speed, it's speed zone 4. Those are your thresholds for those of you who have the book. So again, if you haven't trained this type of energy system lately, start out with 5 minutes and maybe do 2 to 3 of those and progress. This is where you want to take those 5 minutes and progress it in time, where you go maybe 8 minutes and then 10 minutes, eventually ending up with one long 20-minute effort through maybe a 6 to 8 week period. But start with that 5 and progress and see the progression that way. Okay, don't jump right into 20-minute effort, because you're not going to be ready for it and you're not going to be able to sustain it, and therefore it's not at threshold, which is the key. We want to train right at threshold. Okay, so again, biggest bang for your buck, you could maybe do that 2 to 3 times a week right now, when maybe your volume's reduced and you're not able to get out as long or put in the weekly volume that you're used to doing. And this will give again, feel like you're accomplishing something during a really stressful time right now. Even if you have 20 minutes, you can kind of go out, get a warm up in, and then put a threshold effort in and feel relatively like you accomplished something that's really, really good cardiovascular and physiologically helping you to adapt and improve your cardiovascular system. So try that out. Another little coaching tip I was thinking about on the way up is that it's kind of more of a nutrition side. Again, you know, that there's that, I don't know what you call it, a quote people will say to be funny is that, hey, I run to eat. Well, take on this little mindset now that we're not able to run maybe as much as possible and you're worried about gaining weight. Okay, so here's my philosophy: control your weight with your diet, control your performance with your training. In other words, don't try to control your weight with your training. Okay, very, very crucial for long-term sustainability. And again, get away from eating the crap and go to whole foods and natural foods as much as possible. Nose is running again. And look to maintain your caloric intake to control your body weight with your diet, not relying on your running to control your weight. Okay, very crucial. Play around with it, but take on that concept. That way, again, you're not having fluctuations throughout the year just because of based on your run volume. My weight doesn't fluctuate more than maybe 4 to 5 pounds throughout the year. It goes up a little bit. I specifically go up a little bit in the winter just so I can stay a little bit warmer with a little bit more weight on me. But for the most part, I'm controlling my weight throughout the whole year with my diet and how much I eat, and more importantly, what I eat, than relying on my running to drop those 5-10 pounds as you get into the meat of the season. So try that out and play around with it. Okay, super crucial and super hard mentally to kind of grab a hold of. But again, it goes back to one of my earlier videos last week of having that self-discipline. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna head down and do a couple more repeats to get my 30 minutes in and then enjoy the sun. I hope this is helpful, and hang in there, guys. We're gonna get this, and keep sending questions you might have during this time. Anything I can do to help out on something that you want me to cover, I would love to. So hang in there and stay safe, stay healthy. See ya. Threshold. Why is it so important? Like I mentioned, our threshold is the point physiologically that our body starts transferring from burning majority of fuel from fat to carbohydrates. And where that becomes important is our carbohydrate stores are fixed. You hear about in a marathon hitting the wall at mile 20. After a certain amount of running at a certain amount of intensity, we run out of those carbohydrates, and that's where we have to refuel. But by shifting that curve, let's use an example of someone's heart rate. If I test an athlete's heart rate and I surmise that through the testing, their threshold heart rate is 160. So their threshold training zone heart rate is 4 beats. So it would be 60, 61, 62, 63. So 4 beats. That's their really short window of heart rate zone for threshold. And through training our threshold, like we've talked about, we can begin to shift that curve higher and higher. So maybe in 2 months, their 160 testing heart rate becomes 165 and 167 and 168, getting closer and closer to 170. So what are they doing? They're shifting their ability to use more fat for fuel longer and longer as they run. Or they can run faster and faster and faster, primarily using fat as fuel, depending on the distance. That's why it's crucial for all distance runners to train the threshold, because that's very trainable, and we can shift our ability to store more carbohydrates longer, allowing us to have more strength endurance throughout the run or distance we're racing for, and continuing to improve as we get more and more experience, as we get older and older. There's many ways to improve this, but this is one way. And that's why it's so important to always train your threshold and build as the season goes along. Okay, to be able to, again, become more and more efficient. Essentially, if you just want to put it into one sentence, training your threshold is creating cardiovascular efficiency with your energy and the type of energy you're using, which then correlates to your nutrition needs throughout that run, race, training, run, whatever it is. So that's why it's super crucial to train the threshold. All right, how are the shoes doing? Thumbs up so far. I'm gonna be doing a full review after I get a little bit more time in them. But I would say, first and foremost, if you're a Salomon S-Lab Sense lover like I am, but get frustrated with the durability or the outsole shelf life, this is a great option to look at. The fit is really nice, and I still need to put more time into them, but I would say it's really on par with the Salomon, and in some ways it's better, in other ways it's not as good. But so far, these are everything that I was hoping they would be, and giving me another option that's maybe going to be a little bit more durable as a trainer and a racing shoe, whereas the Salomon S-Lab Sense is mainly marketed as a race-only shoe, which is because of the durability. So again, not quite as light as the Salomon, but it rides light. It's still, you know, as far as what's out on the market, it's still a super light shoe. So I don't see there's much difference there. And with the fit, it feels like a mountain slipper. And it just, I say one negative right now is the ride is a little bit more rigid, so I don't know if that's going to break in. I'm sure it will. The midsole will soften up a little bit, but I get tossed around on a rock a little bit, and it's just something noticeable. But on the flip side, going back to how one thing is a negative and becomes not a positive on the downhill, it actually rides better than the Salomon. So I feel much more confident on the downhill because it is rigid. So there's my first initial impressions. Again, the fit's awesome. And again, if you're a Salomon lover, look into this shoe, the DYNAFIT Feline Up Pro. All right, time for the descent. Got some bald eagles circling right after the run. Maybe looking for that mountain lion kill. It's unusual to see two circling. They're circling something. I'm headed out for my cool down. 3-mile cool down, really important after a threshold run to get a nice long cool easy cool down in to flush the lactic acid that you built up. So just headed down the road, and we've got some more mountain lion kill up here. I'll show you. Jackson Hole, wild west. We got a leg here. It's just, wait till you see the destruction. It's just ripped apart, spewing everywhere. That's probably just gotten taken away from a dog, because a lot of people come up here and walk. But wait till you see the kills up here. Go over this way. Not so fresh. And this is, yeah, this is elk. Mountain lion country. All right, I'm out of here. Time to cool down.